We created the Join the Story Gospel tool because we wanted to find a way to make it really easy for students who are coming from all over the place to be able to articulate the gospel, to be able to share the message in words that made sense, in words that felt right to them, and to be able to incorporate their own story and to be able to tell the gospel to people across the nations.
You know, we were so passionate to bring Join the Story together because the experiences that all of us staff had with students sharing the gospel overseas, sharing the gospel back at home. Many times they just had no idea how to share their faith. They knew what they believed, but they couldn't put it in verbiage.
Everybody loves a good story, right? So we decided that when we wrote Join the Story, we wanted it to be in story form, because not only is it easy to talk about stories that you love and that you're passionate about, but when it's your own story, you can tell it even more naturally and more easily.
We also wanted to find a way to be able to communicate that when we call people to follow Christ, we're not just calling people to a momentary impulsive decision, but a life of following Jesus, a life of being a part of the body of Christ. And so we wanted to create a tool where students could share their story, where they could call people into that life, and that would be something that people could understand and see themselves stepping into.
Personally, for me, I was so passionate, especially when we started, with the broken section, because I think a person has to understand their sin and has to understand that condition they're in. But then rescue was so key in it too, because of what Christ did for us when we couldn't help ourselves. But where we really wanted to go somewhere else in the next level that we had felt like we hadn't seen people when they share the gospel being able to get into was, what do I do now? What's next? What do I do with this? Where do I go from here?
I think that Join the Story is also an invitation for us to recognize how God has actually used these elements in our own life to invite us into this life with Him. So how has my own brokenness played a part in drawing me to Christ and His rescue for me? So students engage with it. Hopefully they'll find ways to put their own story in more familiar terms and in ways that are easier to just share naturally with other people in their life.
And we wanted students to be able to, if they needed to, they wanted to share the gospel, but they didn't want to use that little booklet to do it, they could throw it aside and they could put it in their own words and use their own story, but still have that as a foundation to be able to help them along and know how they want to communicate that message in a way that means something to people.
The final section where we put with in there was how to walk with Christ, because He doesn't just leave us here. We have that we come into that relationship with Him, but then there's so much more, because we're going to walk with Him the rest of our lives. And we want them to know how to do that, but then also how to lead others how to do that well. Because that's what discipleship is. It's not just me being discipled, but me going and discipling others.
As God hung between heaven and earth on that cross to give His life for me, that sin pouring down on Him.
We want Join the Story to be one way where students who feel such a deep love for Jesus and passion for the gospel to be able to express that and to give them the words to articulate what is already something that they believe and means so much to them. And that's what Join the Story is about. It's about expressing that which Jesus has made true in our lives all along.
The truth thing is awesome too, because what we do is we give them the scriptures in here to know where this comes from. That it's not just something that's made up, but it's something that has the facts and the evidence behind it. So they can go in boldness to share the gospel with the people that they love, the people that the Lord's going to put them with one day, so that they can in turn disciple others who will disciple others.
At Royal Servants, we want to see students leave the field equipped to go out into the world, ready to share their story, and ready to help invite others into the story that God is already writing for the world around them.